Shoot, fire away.
Rich, so voice film. So let's start with the offensive line evaluation. I know you weren't happy with the running game the other day, but pass blocking looked better. Give me the overall thought of the O line.
But like we said, Greg, I mean, didn't do a great job in the running game. Some of it we could have probably had better calls. Was okay in pass pro. We did get rid of the ball quickly a lot of times, but you have to be able to convert the short yardage stuff. That was the most frustrating part of it. And so, but it's not just O-line. It's the play call. It's the tight ends. It's the running backs. It's everything in there. But to win a game like that, you got to be able to convert the short yardage stuff, and we didn't do a good job with that.
To improve the short yardage outside of just blocking better?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, the point of emphasis all last week was doing a little better job of coming off the ball, whether it's a wide out tight end or O-line, just coming off the ball a little bit more urgent, I guess. And there were times we did that in the last game, but some key times when we didn't, and that's what we'll continue to work on.
What's the challenge this week running against this defense?
Yeah, they're really two interior guys on defense. Their defensive front's really good, athletic, at linebacker, and in the back end, we again just fundamentally getting a little bit more push up front. Being solid with our techniques. There's things that we need to add to our package, so to speak, but I'm a little hesitant to do that with young guys in key roles.
Rich, what's it been like preparing a true freshman starting quarterback, or preparing a true freshman to be the starting quarterback these past couple of weeks? Because in this era of college football, it's kind of a unique situation.
Yeah, I think that what's most unique with Scotty, or you playing a freshman, is he doesn't have any experience around him. The guys might be older guys, but I've said this before. I mean, everybody around him is new to the system, and then everybody but one is a new starter. So it's a different dynamic. I mean, I've had freshman quarterbacks before, but they would have a little bit of experience up front, maybe some experience in the receiving room. I mean, everybody doesn't have an experience, and that's not an excuse. That's just a reality. So we have to have enough stuff to be able to execute and score points, whatever, but we can't overcomplicate things, not just for the quarterback, but for everybody else around him.
So the play calls you mentioned in the past, hey, you just can't throw a bunch of stuff at them like you just did. So in adjusting that, are they things that are on your play sheet in the plan right now, or are they things that, hey, maybe you've got to look at incorporating in the future?
Yeah, both. I think they're things we've got to be able to expand a little bit and try to be a little creative offensively, and then simply some of the stuff that we did. Had we executed a little bit better too, you might not have gotten a big play, but you'd have gotten a big enough play. And so it's a combination of that. But our guys are conscientious. I think they understand it. Like I told after the game, I mean, we're mad because we lost, and the effort was good, but the effort is supposed to be good all the time. That's non-negotiable. I think what we got to do is we don't have enough margin for error to just play hard and win. We got to play hard and execute well, because our margin of error is pretty thin right now.
You mentioned that the effort was great in this game, and then you mentioned after the UCF game maybe it wasn't. But prior to that, effort looked strong against BYU. How do you avoid the roller coaster ride maybe of effort and make sure that you follow it up?
Yeah, that's probably the most frustrating part, because that's supposed to be a given, from day one. From fall camp started, whatever, say, listen, no matter what happens, whatever situations, we're going to play hard, play smart, and for the most part, I think we have. But if there's one time a guy is not playing as hard as he can possibly play, that's one time way too many, and we're going to have to, shouldn't take this long to do that, but maybe it does. So we're going to continue to do that until that culture is a given. And people say it's harder nowadays with transfer portal and all that, and that's probably true, but it still can be done. And I won't stop preaching it and coaching it until it does happen.
You confident that your message has really got across at this point now for or are you more confident, I guess, than?
Yeah, probably more confident. But again, ask me again after Saturday, right? Because we've got it. I'm not gonna, and any coach will tell you that, but not everybody, maybe not every coach is obsessed with it as much as I am. I'm totally obsessed with every guy playing as hard as they can on every snap. Totally obsessed with. That's the number one thing from a coaching standpoint that we have to have.
Now that you've been able to go back and watch the tape, what did Scotty Fox do well in that game against TCU that really kept you guys in it?
I think he was accurate. I think his decision making was really good for the most part. I think he was seeing the field. He was getting rid of the ball quickly when he had to, and so there was a lot to grow off of. But there's also, he's going to see something new every week. Different defenses, different ways people play against it, and we got to help prepare him for that. But for a true freshman in that environment, he was composed, and there were a couple times he dropped some snaps or something. But even then, he didn't panic. So I was proud of the way he played.
You've been it a couple times that Curtis Jones maybe could help you in short yardage situations as running back. How problematic is that for a guy who hadn't really played there?
Yeah, that was the reason I didn't. We thought about doing it in the last game because he's a bigger guy, but we hadn't given him enough reps in practice for me to be totally comfortable with that. He'll get more reps in practice this week at running back to try to help that situation.
Shown you anything in practice?
Yeah, we just haven't been live with him, and so he's playing a lot on defense and special teams. But today, for instance, he'll get more reps today at running back than he had last week for sure.
Watching the World Series game last night and seeing how great those players were and what they did for their teams, etc. You've coached great players. You don't have the great players right now. You haven't had time to get them or whatever. Talk a little bit about what greatness does for
It's funny you mentioned that, Bob, because I was just talking to someone just a little earlier because I didn't know that. I don't even knew the World Series was going on. That's how much of a cave we're living in. And then I was downstairs this morning working out, and then they were showing highlights. It's 18 innings. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And how many close game-winning homers you do it. But has there ever been anybody like Ohtani? I mean, a guy that will hit 4 home runs in the game, and then the next day pitch, and strike out 10 people. He makes everybody like he's playing in Little League against Little League guys. And he's pitching. And it's amazing. And that, those are generational type of guys, and everybody's looking for them. And whatever they're paying him, he's probably been, that's a lot of money, and he's more than worth it, right? So you constantly have to be on the lookout for that. Sometimes it, like, I think I got something right here. But sometimes they just emerge and be that guy. In order for us, or anybody will tell you, to win championships, you've got to have some of those guys that are generational type of talents that not only are physically talented, but have the mental makeup and the competitiveness and what have you that lifts everybody up. And we're all looking for that. And we might have, 1 or 2 potential in our programs, but we meet every day on recruiting a lot. And that's what I tell our guys. That's we need good players, starters at every position. But if I tell our coaches this, if I had 10 different positions, 10 different position coaches, if every one of them signed an all-conference guy every year, we'd have 40 all-conference guys in 4 years. We're going to win the league. That's what we should be looking for.
Rich, along that line, back in the day, Herb Hand was recruiting coordinator and tight end coach. Now you break down what your room looks like back there now.
Yeah,
How
we have
many people are there? What
we
do
have
they do?
We have a recruiting meeting every day, and we look at guys that are in a portal, maybe in a portal. We look at guys that are coming out of high school, junior college, all that stuff. And it's, there's 20 coaches in there, guys that are involved in coaching, and then there's, 6 or 7 recruiting personnel people in there as well. So there's a lot more people. So it's great. But I said there's as many people as we have now in recruiting, we should be able to kick more tires around and find more people. And it was hard, when we first got here in December because we didn't have all that. I didn't have, I didn't have a GM. I didn't have it. We were just, but we've been here a year now, or not quite a year, but almost a year. And so we're so farther ahead recruiting wise, and should be. And it'll reflect in our recruiting class. It will reflect in our portal class as well when that finishes up in January.
You have people who just look at portal guys and just
Yeah.
high school guys? Is that how you break it
Yeah,
down?
we haven't broke down. Some guys are more responsible for the portal transfer guys. Some are for just the high school guys. But you got to do it. I know y'all have heard this. You got to recruit every day, and it's not. It's harder from some respects. Like you can, used to think you can outwork somebody to get them in recruiting. Pay more attention to them. Do the whole, the calls, the messages, and all that. But it's become a lot more transactional, and you can outwork and from a relationship standpoint. But somebody throws a lot more money at them, and so they're like, "Yeah, I really like you, but I like that better." You know what I mean? So it's a different dynamic, but you gotta really work hard at it, and sometimes you make the wrong choice, and if you do that, you got to recognize that and fix that problem too.
Senior evaluation has always been important. Is it even more important now with how expedited things are?
With the senior high school kids, yeah, I think and everybody. I think what's maybe changed a little bit is everybody would recruit seniors, and then they go juniors, and they go sophomores, and then they're finding out, well, sometimes you start recruiting the sophomore, and by the time he gets to be a senior, he's going to be priced out of your range, you know what I mean? Or you find out you need a different guy, you need a grown man there. And that's where we're at right now. We're going to sign, I think I told you, a lot more high school guys than transfer guys, but we're still going to sign transfer guys too, because we're going to need some immediate help at certain positions. So it'll be another big class, not as big as last year's, but a lot more high school guys.
Houston's tight end, pretty good. See the best you've seen this year on tape?
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them. And, they've got an experienced quarterback that's played in big games, and he's kind of seen a little bit of everything. So, and they're playing at a really high level. But we can play. We played a little bit better the last game. We can play better than we did in this past Saturday, and we're going to have to win.
6'7", 250. He's got the size. How do you match up with the size like that?
Well, yeah, you got to get him, kind of disrupted early. You can't get him going down the field because we're not very big in the back end. So you got to play with some physicality against guys like that.
Rich, what do you think of the onside kick late in the game?
I thought he executed it okay. I think he was right there to get it, and it kind of bounced off RJ's chest there, and then they had another guy recovering it. We could go a couple different ways with the kick and how they're lined up. We thought that was the best chance. But we had a chance, but didn't get it. And again, our guy, I think, grabbed it from the bottom of the pile, but they had ruled that the other guy was already down with it. So, wasn't much to argue about that.
How often do you actually get a chance to work on that live in the regular season? Like ever?
Live? I mean, we would work it out in practice, but you don't really do it too much live. I mean, we do it every week. Practice that.
Do you know what you're going to? They're like easy, like, hey, let's go to this, and everybody very smoothly.
Well, we have, like I said, we have 3 different ways we can kick it with the same alignment based on how they're lined up.
You back at the film with Scotty now that he has a few games in. Do you reinforce strengths or on weaknesses more?
All of the above. We really these are some of the things you could be better at, and we're, like I said, we call our meeting rooms the truth rooms. We don't worry about anybody's feelings or anything like that. We tell them straight out, like, that was not very smart, or that was really good. It's not all negative, it's not all positive. It just is what it is. And quarterbacks have, we tell them we're going to be brutally honest with you, and this is how it's going to go. And we don't kind of worry about, even though he's a freshman, let's treat him with kid gloves, not, destroy his confidence. No, you get, the only way you destroy your confidence by playing poorly. You play well, you get more confidence. And he played pretty well. There was a couple things that it was like freshman moments, but he played pretty well.
You mentioned when you have an inexperienced quarterback having great players around him, obviously everyone would know this can help. So how much has Cam Vaughn been able to help? Because he's been immersed even a little bit more in recent weeks. And where you are in your progression of trying to fully unlock him that you mentioned a few weeks ago?
Well, we're not really have him locked up. I mean, Cam's a really competitive guy, and he's got the capability of making big plays, probably more so than some others. But there's also areas where he's got to get better at. You know, he's only been at the position a couple years, and he's got the ability to make a lot of plays. So we're trying to get him disciplined and to the point where he, you know, we got to throw it to him all the time, you know, or this and that. What's that?
What does he need to get better at?
Oh, I get route running, consistency, coming off the ball, recognizing coverages, understanding the concepts of what we're doing. You know, some techniques in route running. You know, but that's what everybody needs to. I mean, he's not the only one. Everybody's got to do that. The difference is Cam will do all, if he gets all that stuff and continues to work on his craft, you know, he could be one of the better ones in our league.
Going back to Curtis for a second, what was the last time you had someone at a skill position play both sides of the football for you in a game?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I had anybody at Jack State do that or not. I had some, you know, like linemen play tight end and linemen. I've had some running backs play receiver. Some receivers play running back. I can't remember the last time I had a defensive. I've had somebody maybe along the line. And typically you wouldn't have to because you're deep enough. But our injuries at running back kind of the two experienced guys going down is forcing this issue, I think.
Harder to do that at running back maybe than at, like you said, a tight end or wide receiver or somewhere else? Or is that
Not
easier?
really. I mean, they all have, different responsibilities and jobs. But you know, I wouldn't put like a defensive guy at running back and make him learn, you know, 15 different plays. You teach him 3 or 4 different plays and then go with it if you have to use him.
Rich, back to the recruiting real quick. With so many jobs open right now around college football, and not just you guys, but what's the national sort of feeding frenzy for those commitments out there?
Oh, no question. You know, when the job comes open, first thing our recruiting staff and coaches are, okay, who's committed to them, and let's watch those. You know, why not, right? You know, they don't sign until the first week in December. So, yeah, anybody that was committed to some of these other teams, you know, everybody I'm sure is jumping all over, and you have to. That's the way but that's always been that way. Now it's even more so with, you know, the early signing period being in December. You know, there'll still be guys sign in February, but majority of them are going to sign in December. And so that's why this month, November will be the busiest month for everybody in college football of all the months in the year. Is November.
Jeff Weimer, did you get what you expected to get out of him? He's a bigger wide receiver.
Yeah, Jeff's a great young man, one of the hardest workers on the team, and even all those the time was waiting for him to be eligible, you could see him out there running, getting a 2-hour workout by himself, you know, hoping that he would be a chance to play. And so it was really neat for him to get a score, and you wish I had him for more than a year. He's the kind of a guy that helps with your culture too, because you don't have to say anything to Jeff. You know he's going to work as hard as he could possibly do and do whatever he's coached to do every single day.
He's 6'2", 210 too, which you don't have many of those guys out there.
Well, and he's a very willing blocker. He takes a lot of pride in our blocking has been okay, but not our perimeter blocking has not been nearly as good as it can be, and our guys are capable of doing it. But that's one of the things that we have to get better at.
What's going on with Jamoy Robinson in terms of what people can expect to see from him?
Yeah, I think, you know, in Jamoy's defense, I think there was so much hype with that I don't know if you could ever live up to a certain type of expectation. But last week wasn't a great week for him as far as preparation goes, and and some other stuff. Hopefully this week he'll be able to be totally in on all of our preparation and can have a bigger role on Saturday. Okay.
All right, thank you.